What's going on, everybody? It's Joe from the Acceptable Casualties. We're going to be here for our first developer's diary for Sons of Mars. It's the gladiatorial combat game that I'm putting together right now. So it's going to be, I guess, just our first dive into it. For this video, I kind of wanted to just maybe go 20-30 minutes, give you guys a brief overview of what the game's about, what I'm planning to do with it, how the basics work, and what you guys can expect over the next couple months. So the first part is going to be just the basic overview, and if you guys are interested in gladiatorial games out there, you might have seen some other ones. Some of them might be a little more fantasy based, some might be a little bit lighter on the rules, kind of just like a pick-me-up fun kind of thing to play. What I wanted to do was put together a rule set that had the ability to be easy to pick up, still work for tournament play or pickup games, and really shine for those of us who play maybe in some smaller groups that wanted to do a campaign themed type of play style, as far as like building up a ludus, managing gladiators, leveling up gladiators, stuff like that. So some smaller RPG elements, as well as doing just instead of just doing your regular pickup games. So I was looking for a system that I was going to be able to create that kind of covered all those bases pretty well, and I think I've kind of hit on a pretty good formula right now as far as where I'm at and where I'm able to take the foundation that I put together right now. So the basis of the game right now is going to be around Republic, Imperial Rome, kind of in that couple 100-year span right there. For those of you for those of you who don't know a lot about gladiatorial combat or gladiators in ancient Rome, it's kind of broken up into eras. How it went was Rome obviously grew and expanded, but before they did in their gladiatorial arenas, they would use the people that they either captured as slaves or they captured in battle. They would bring them back and they let them fight in the arena. So, for example, early on in the Republic, they had gladiators called Samnites. So they would use them as regular gladiator style inside the arena. And as the Samnites were assimilated and brought into the Empire, that class of gladiator wasn't really used anymore because now they were considered to be Roman citizens, and it kind of evolved into a different class or a different style of fighting. So over time, you have all of these classes of gladiators and fight styles, either evolving constantly as the empire grew, retracted in certain areas, and it just kind of changed. So what I had set up for the game initially was going to be these eras set up to where you're able to fight certain gladiators in certain classes. But as I was putting it together and the game started to evolve, the more I was writing it, I realized that I can really just open this up and let all of you, whoever decides to play this in the future, you can make those kinds of decisions. So as of right now, it's between 18 and 20 gladiator classes. I have some stuff in there that's kind of on the cusp of being cut. But so yeah, so right as of right now, it's between 18 and 20 gladiator classes that cover a couple hundred years of the Empire. But the early Republic gladiators are still balanced to fight some of the gladiators in the later Republic. There's no heavy technological differences or anything like that. It's all very balanced. It's still sword and board kind of mechanics, very basic light armor. So early gladiators are going to fight well against later gladiators and all the styles in between. So basically how it's going to be set up as far as your gladiators, sorry, just going to adjust it here, as you develop your gladiators, each one of those 18 gladiator classes is going to have a core stat line that they're built around. There won't be a lot of variance in there. Like, there will be differences between certain types of gladiators, certain types of fight styles. There'll be different values, but it's not going to be very, very drastic. Like, there'll be some minor ripples. The differences you're going to see are when you start choosing your weapon profiles for each one of those gladiators, because most gladiators are going to have some different weapon profiles, armor profiles they're going to be able to pick that are going to change those stats. They're not completely historical at this point because I wanted to still make the game semi-historical, but also want to make it fun and give people some options to really personalize their gladiators that they want to put out in the arena. So one of the best ways to do that was through the equipment, and that will modify some of your dice pools and dice rolls as far as what you put out there on the table with your gladiator. Another way to kind of personalize the gladiators was going to be there's a skill upgrade set that you're able to do, and it's built into 3 tiers. Whether you're able to purchase upgrades, different skills, whatever, more ways to kind of just personalize your gladiator. And each one of the gladiator classes is going to have some unique skills that are going to be just geared toward them or their build, and some other ones that overlap with similar styles. So everybody who puts, let's say, like a Secutor or a Thrakes, those are separate gladiator classes, out on the table. Yours might play completely different than mine based on if you have an aggressive build, a counter-attacking build, maybe a build that's more about being stuck in and locked in combat, or maybe you have more like a skill monkey where he just does a bunch of different things really well but doesn't necessarily excel in one field. So that's kind of the tip of the iceberg as far as how I wanted to build these gladiators and make it feel like there's a serious variety. Because, like I said, if you've played some games or just like, one-on-one combat or any rule set, not just gladiator rule sets, but if you played anything in one-on-one combat, it's very I go, you go, almost down to who has the better dice, who has the better skills attached to their guy. It's the way it is. So what I tried to do was come up with a system to where it wasn't necessarily based just on how good your dice rolls are or how much of a beast you have as far as your character goes that's on the table. I wanted to kind of incorporate some skill into the game, and I put that in there with an action template that you're able to pick with your gladiator. So every time your turn comes up, you're going to get to do 2 actions, and on this action template, there's 14 separate actions you can pick, and each one is very unique. And some of them meld really well with certain gladiator builds and certain profiles that they have as far as damage, what type of attacks, and things of that nature that we'll go into further in some later videos. So it really kind of opens it up for you to have to put some thought into what you want to do instead of just, I'm just going to attack this turn, I'm just going to attack this turn, or I'm just going to do I'm going to run away and fight at range. Like, each one of these matchups that you have from your gladiator fighting against maybe a heavy, a medium, or a light build gladiator that's built maybe and each one of those are going to be built differently. You can't use the same strategy going into each one. You're really going to have to look at your opponent, look at your own gladiator's strengths and weaknesses, and kind of put together a battle plan each turn as the fight evolves with these 14 actions that you're going to be able to choose from. To really kind of gain the upper hand and maintain the upper hand in a fight. It's not going to be just as simple as you running into combat and fighting. There's going to be risk rewards to each of these actions depending on what kind of gladiator you're fighting against. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking at as far as how battle unfolds in the arena. For the other parts of the game, I mentioned earlier, kind of tournament play, pickup games, and campaign. So the way I'm going to have the game balanced, it's going to be set up to where you're going to have the option to just play pickup games. And in the play test that we've done so far, it seems like you can be able to get 4 matches in about 45 minutes to an hour, give or take. That's if things go on average, maybe a little bit longer than average. You have some pretty good fights. It seems like people are able to get like a death blow earlier in a fight, or kind of just manhandle their opponent. Things might go a little bit quicker, but right now it seems like around 45 minutes for 4 complete matches, which is almost the average we're having set up for the pickup games. Seems to be kind of a good window. So the rules, I almost lost my train of thought there. So what I'm trying to talk about right now is just pickup games, tournament play. Try to get it balanced. Try to be able to set it up so you or whoever you're playing against, or if you have a group of friends, you'll be able to do a pickup game in a generally quick amount of time, or you can set up a tournament and get it almost completely done within 3 or 4 hours, in an afternoon of you're just playing, and the rule set will be tight enough and balanced enough to where you can do those things and not feel like they're just like these particular power bills that are just going to steamroll through any kind of pickup game or any kind of tournament. I really want to have it so each one of the gladiator classes has something to offer and match up well against certain types of gladiators, and I don't want to say dominate other ones where it's a rock paper scissors, but that's going to happen regardless of how you make a rule set. Some classes are going to perform better against others, but I'm really working hard so it's not a case of you just being able to steamroll everybody with one particular class. So there is a focus now for competitive play and balanced pickup games, but the main focus of what I wanted to do was build a decent campaign to where you and a group of friends, maybe even there's only one friend and you run multiple Ludus, to where you can build your Ludus up to give perks and to your gladiators, but also your school. Watch your school grow, and really have an RPG element for that, as well as building up and developing your gladiators. And not just the arena, like also have some other kind of combat setup as well. There's gonna be like 2 or 3 other different things. I'll get into that in a later video as well. So I wanted to give you guys, the players out there, just some options, because I know all of us like to play war games a little bit differently. Some of us like to be competitive. Some would just like to pick up a game every couple weeks and just roll some dice, just to mix it up and play something different. Maybe not have it as like your core game that you play. And then some other people really like to set it up and do like a campaign style thing with like a group of friends. Or maybe they like the solo play as well. And I am working on some solo rules, because I know not all of us can get out there and roll dice every week, or maybe you're in a place where you don't have a lot of war gamers around you, and in your own way that you can really play war games is by yourself. So I am setting up solo rules for you to play with that as well. So trying to think of the things that I wanted to hit on right now. Kind of went over the actions, classes, skills, combat. I have my list over here. I'm just kind of looking at it right now. I don't want to get too much into the combat and a lot of the classes and stuff, because I'm going to use that for a later video as we build up to get into the battle reports. But I just kind of want to give you guys a brief overview of what's going to be coming up. Maybe in the next couple weeks. I'm not going to post one of these every week, maybe like once a month in the beginning, just to give me some time to kind of build the rule set, build on the play testing that we're doing right now. Because as of right now, I'm getting about a play test in every other week for one session. Sometimes I got to play them, sometimes I get to sit back and just take notes. So that's kind of nice. But the rule set right now is, how many pages am I looking at? I have about 60 pages right now, not just of rules, but of campaign information, gladiator classes, skills. Like there's like a full rule book that's actually evolving right here. I'm thinking by the time I'm said and done with editing and putting everything together, before I kind of send it out there, I'm guessing it's going to be about 100 pages from start to finish, and that'll encompass everything, not just rules, because I don't want to have this rules heavy thing. I want to have a good core set, but more of the depth coming from the options that you're able to do on the tabletop and build with your gladiators. That's the depth I wanted to come. That's where I want the depth to come from, not necessarily just from this thick rule book that you have to go to all the time. I don't want that. So that's kind of what we've been working out, and that's what I plan on really play testing over the next couple months. And you guys are gonna get a chance to see that too, probably within like a month and a half, if things continue to go as well. I'll start putting maybe like a battle report up here there between like 2 gladiator classes. I can't really show that much out there because I haven't pitched this yet or really put it all together just yet. And if you guys have ever looked into any kind of development, like I used to do occasional pitches for TV shows and stuff like that back when I worked in film. And you can't let too much out of the bag, because it's not that hard for somebody to copy your stuff or someone to grab what you have and kind of roll with it. So I'm going to let out bits and pieces over the next few months, maybe a couple rounds of a match, so you guys can kind of see how the mechanics work and things of that nature. And then once I really get some stuff hammered down and I get the ball rolling as far as pitching it and putting it out there and seeing what people think about it, then I might open up the floodgates a little bit more and let you guys kind of see what the game's all about, and almost like in a full version. Like I'll do like a full battle report, let the dice roll so you guys can see how the whole thing works, full mechanics for combat on the table and everything. And I think eventually we'll get to that point, but as of right now, it's going to be more of a piecemeal thing. And we'll get to that. Even in these kind of videos, I probably won't be getting too in-depth with the mechanics, but just to kind of give you guys, I know I'm looking at my screen a lot, sorry, but just to kind of give you guys a brief idea of what it's going to be like, some thoughts that I have, and also it gives you guys enough of information to where you guys can kind of start to piece things together. And if you guys have some ideas or some things that that you guys might be interested, or some things that you guys might like, or maybe some things that you guys have played in other games that you think would work well with what I've been talking about. Let me know, man. Like I like getting feedback. I like throwing things out there and seeing how they work and see how they mix up with some of the other rules and things of that nature that I have built into the system. So before I ramble too much, I kind of just wanted to give you guys, like I said, a brief overview of what I'm doing. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for the next couple weeks. I'll probably put another one of these out there, get a little more in depth with how the combat's going to work, and maybe some of the maybe some more of the gladiator profiles, so you guys can kind of have an idea of what's going to be out there on the table and what you're going to be able to do with those gladiators once you get them out there. So thanks for watching. Leave some comments down below if you guys got any questions, and like I said, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.